You followed the training, you've built the skills, and you became the therapist. But now you're wondering, is this it? Beyond the therapy room is where we have the conversations most therapists are thinking, but not saying out loud. There's Skye, psychologist and mentor, and Ali, counsellor and tantric healer, bringing two perspectives, clinical and intuitive, structured and expansive. We talk burnout, identity, spirituality, business, relationships, and what happens when you stop playing by the rules that you were trained in. This is for the therapist who knows there's more. Two different paths, two different perspectives, but the same truth. There's more available to you than the box you were trained in. Hey listeners, are you one of those people who has a vision within them and they start to kind of create or, capture it, and then they stop and start, and there's something that's grand and wants to come through you into the world, but you're not sure yet how to navigate between that professional life that you have and this grand vision you're holding? Today in Beyond the Therapy Room, Skye and I are coming to you live from her beautiful property, and we're going to share and talk more about how we ourselves have brought greater visions that have been within us out into the world to share with humanity. So that if that interests you, I ask you to stick around and hear us out, because we're going to talk today more about that parallel process that's happening as we grow personally and come to know ourselves on deeper levels. Yeah, so one of my parting messages to listeners today might be, so there's much we're going to cover today. We're going to do a bit of an extended episode because we've got time and spaciousness. It's just been so relaxing for us to both come out here into nature. And we've been discussing lots around our own journeys, haven't we, Skye?
Absolutely.
Yeah, and that self-reflection is so vital for, just pausing and doing a check-in every now and then. Where am I at? Where have I been? And where am I hoping to go? And I know for me, when I get an opportunity to drop deeper into myself and just do a little bit of internal navigation and checking out, like, it really brings to the surface for me what's feeling good and keeping me alive and passionate, and what's no longer serving me.
Yeah.
Because we were sitting by the fireplace last night and you were talking about this, Skye, where when we're in therapy mode or as a therapist, a mama, wife, a lot of the time as women, we're nurturers, aren't we?
Yeah.
And the focus is on the other. So we're in a lot of people's minds and lives when we're in our therapy rooms. We're navigating parenting, parenting concerns and children's needs all day, like at home.
Perimenopause.
Yeah. And
ADHD. All the struggles.
Our minds have lots going on.
Yeah.
So capturing like time for yourself, however that can look for you. Like, we've had the luxury of a whole weekend, haven't we, Skye? But
nice.
You might only have your lunch break, or you might only have an hour before bed when the kids have gone to sleep. But being able to just pause and tune back into self and just notice and listen on a deeper level to yourself. You'll be able to discover all kinds of things, as you know.
Yeah.
And so for me, I love the personal growth work. Like, I've read and attended so many different opportunities to learn to navigate my inner terrain more and more and more. And as I do that, I notice I'm becoming more of myself, or I'm letting go of, my conditioning. I'm able to understand myself or recover from things that aren't serving me quicker.
Yeah.
And I didn't notice until like a decade into running my own business that it's actually happening alongside my business expansion and growth too. So I'm going to start a little bit more back toward the beginning of my training, because some of you listeners might be just starting out in therapy with people. And that's a beautiful place to be, because when I got my diploma in counselling, like, I'm a counsellor now. So I put on this hat and I'm wearing a role and I'm working as a counsellor, and that's great. And I loved it. And I'm learning so much about how to support people in a one-on-one space. And it grew my confidence, and it really helped me feel like I have something worthwhile that other people need.
Yeah.
Talk to me, Skye, about when you first became a psychologist. You're fresh out of uni and you're starting to support people in the one-on-one space. Like, where were you at with your own personal growth then? Do you feel like there was a place that we can like say mark and say, hey, that's how I was feeling then, or where my inner growth was at? Like, is there a starting place for you that you can remember?
I think the big thing for me, the shift from uni to actually working, was actually figuring out that it wasn't my job to solve everyone's problems.
Uh-huh.
And that was one of the first times I was like, oh, this is like a new season of growth for me, sitting in that space of like, I went into it, mental health in the family, stuff of my own, being like, okay, I'm going to go in, I'm going to do psychology, I'm going to figure out this magical thing, right?
Mm.
And then I'm going to go and share it with the world. I'm just going to fix everybody because that's what I'm going to do. And then I went and I did the course and came out of that and was like, fuck, that's not what you do. What do I do from here?
Yeah, so I can hear as you're speaking a big perspective change. You've gone in thinking that you can fix people or rescue people,
Yeah.
and you've actually realized it's not that, it's something else.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that in that perspective change, there's growth, isn't there, for you?
Absolutely. Because personal life was like the rescuer.
Mm-hmm.
And so then having to sit in that space of like, no, it's other people's job to rescue themselves and you're on that journey with them.
Yeah.
Was a bit of an identity shift for me in that moment.
Yeah, beautiful.
And I didn't realize that who I was, it leads into like your career and your business, right?
It sure does.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so how does that then translate for you into business?
Well, I guess early years it wasn't my own business, but in terms of business, there's a lot of pressure then I think on me in the therapy room. So as the rescuer, it's like, I've got to get it right and I've got to do the work and I've got to figure out this magical thing that's then going to make that person be able to change.
Yes.
Yeah.
So when I'm thinking about my experience of that too, like I did a lot of shadow work in my early days of personal discovery, and I'm like leaning into, I know and am accepting of certain parts of self, but when I learned what shadow work was, I learned that I had the rescuer archetype and the caretaker archetype, and I could see in my personal life how I'd had a pattern of doing that with my friendships, with my family, with my partner.
Yes.
And it is a burden that we take on their needs, and we try to fix it for them.
Yeah.
And it's very exhausting and draining over the long term if you do that ongoing.
Yeah.
But for me, it was like when I realized that again, like you, I can't rescue anyone. What that did for me is it opened up this emotional capacity to witness another person's sufferings or their challenges and not make it my own, not personalize it.
Yeah.
And so that for me was that personal growth of understanding that part, and that pattern helped me to be able to better sit in uncomfortable spaces with other people, but have the emotional capacity to just witness or support or put the empowerment back into their hands. What can, like, question in a new way, what can you do about that?
Yeah.
So yeah, it's very translatable, your own personal growth, to how you show up then in your business, isn't it?
Absolutely. And I think this is true for so many of us, but we either go down I need the therapy route, which is fucking amazing, but then we're focusing on just that personal life. Or we go into supervision, which is again amazing, but we're focusing on the professional life.
Yes.
And that gap or that bridge between the two is not often always addressed or talked about, because I've just noticed the evolution of me. And then in my business, it translates.
Yeah. So at first we might be seeing ourselves as very, separate in these different environments and spaces, is what I'm hearing you say.
Yeah.
And then over time we learn a way to integrate they're not so separate anymore.
Yeah.
So let's keep talking more about, ways in which we've noticed the integration happening. So for me, one of the biggest leaps I took was when you invited me to jump in the deep end and go and start doing Facebook Lives on Facebook, a Facebook group that we'd created together. And that was a huge step out of my comfort zone for an introvert who doesn't really like to be as sociable as many other people that I knew around me.
Yeah.
And like pretty private. I love to be private, keep my personal life to myself. But I'd already kind of overcome the rescuer, knew how to sit in emotional spaces with people without personalizing it, and starting to take that leap really helped me go from one-on-one spaces to holding containers of people, because that's a big thing. A lot of us, a lot of you listeners might want to start to hold a group or create your own community of people.
Yeah.
And exercising that muscle within yourself, your nervous system needs to be able to stay in a calm, regulated space
Yeah.
to sit in the discomfort of another
Mm-hmm.
and help bring them back to a calm, regulated space, and being able to keep your consciousness over the whole room and witness what's emerging for the people in your space and responding to that.
And
Or
navigating all those,
yeah,
personalities, needs.
that's right. So that to me, like
Mm.
when I knew more about how I could downregulate myself in my personal life and how I could manage and organize, like self-organize my parts, my patterns, and my day-to-day experiencing, it became so much easier to do that in the group spaces.
I think another thing that I noticed that came up for me when it was moving from the therapy room one-on-one to even just sharing outside of this space was, I think when we're in the room, we get really, really good at being the responders. So we're seeing what's in the room and then we're responding to whatever's on the other side. And there's a safety in that I didn't realize too, because me as the over responsible one, when I was online, it was like, well, when I share this information, there was two things. When I share this information, how are people going to receive it? And is it going to be okay? And are they going to be affected by it? And am I upsetting somebody? And there was all of this chatter because I didn't have the information coming back after I put it into the universe. And then the flip of that was because I was so good at responding, and then I'd get on a camera and it's looking at me, I'd be like, the fuck do I say?
Yeah.
Like I've got no one to bounce off. And I think that's why it works so well, like hanging out with you, Ali. But even just going, like I love my TikToking, if you know me, but even just starting the camera, I'd be like, I'm so boring. I have nothing to say. And then I'd put the camera off and I'd talk to Ali and I'd be like, fuck, why didn't I record that? And so just learning those different parts of my personality and how that was showing up in the therapy room and what I needed. And it was just such a learning experience.
Yeah. And sometimes we're not even giving ourselves that opportunity unless we push ourselves out our comfort zone and take a chance and just say yes to something.
Yeah.
Because we'll keep coming back to, it's in the doing that we build the muscles. It's in the doing that we build our confidence and our self-belief.
Yeah.
So yes, it's that's a good one to think about, Skye. And for me too, like meditation, I got to a point in my own journey where I, was practicing meditation and playing around with different styles. But what I found that gave me was a greater depth of presence.
Yeah.
Yeah. So not just with myself, but in the group spaces, then I could be more observant and take in everyone's, like it felt like I could take in everyone's responses all at once and better assess where the greatest need was in the room.
Yeah.
Because I had this peacefulness within, this clarity that meditation brought me.
Yeah.
I felt like I kept my finger on the pulse in a bigger space with more personalities bouncing around. So yeah, that was helpful.
Yeah. When you talk about that and doing the meditation, I think for me, the way that comes about is like letting go of that responsible identity. Because when we're in a space with so many people at a retreat or a workshop or a group, there is a different level of care that you have available. And yes, communicate and all the things, but even just within that, for my own internal self, it was understanding that it's not about bringing the one-on-one level of care into that group space, because that's what overwhelmed me. It's like, oh my God, now I've got 10 people that I've got to give the one-on-one care to, without realizing in my own mind that was my over responsible identity.
Yes.
And there was not an expectation really of the people coming into that space for that.
Yeah.
And so I've noticed at each kind of stage where I've done something different, there's a different part of my identity that shows up and goes, this is scary. What do I do? And having to move through that and talk myself through that is what's created the grounding for me.
Yeah. So I can hear like the different contexts in which we show up calls from us or asks us to show up in new or different ways. Yeah. In a group setting, the beautiful coherence that the group creates together sparks the epiphanies in one another, and they're all kind of like witnessing each other and us. So
yeah, we're in the background going, we're learning too.
Yes, we are, because that's how humans connect and relate.
Yeah.
And like we might enter that room and we're more in teaching mode now rather than in our chatter or in our over responsible, over caretaking parts.
Shifting that role from that practitioner, right?
It does. Yeah, definitely does.
Yeah.
Because then instead of being so focused on the like our self-monitoring or the other's experience of us,
Mm-hmm.
we can just get into the flow state a little easier in a teaching type mode.
Yeah.
And we can transmit then what is in us that needs to or wants to come out.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
think we were sitting again by the fire last night, and Ali was talking, and I'm like, oh my God, wait, I just want to record you. Because I think sometimes we don't realize the level of knowledge, information that we learn as therapists, practitioners, because it becomes what is normal or familiar for us.
Yeah, it's just who I am.
Yeah, and even when you were talking last night, I was like, sure, I don't know that. I'm like, that's really interesting. And it's just Ali's normal flow. And so I think even just is like owning our, what would you call that? Like just owning your knowledge. It's more than that. Yeah,
it's
I like
wisdom.
that.
So this is for me what helped me go from being in a teacher mode or a self kind of monitoring mode into, hey, I have the ability to lead, influence, and inspire others.
Yes.
Just by being me. Yeah, it's powerful. And it's like, I think it takes a level of self-belief and self-confidence and enough feedback or enough experience in different spaces and contexts
Yeah.
to actually start to really listen and believe the people at what they're saying. Because me on my own, I'm just going to go, oh, that's just who I am. Oh, that's just me
Yeah.
being me. But when I see the effect I have on the other,
Yeah.
or what they're receiving, how they're transforming because of one thing I said, or their ongoing relationship with me,
Yeah.
that is gold. That, like, I live for that.
You do. You just lit up then.
Yeah. And so that to me, like, allowing yourself to expand, to listen to the feedback, to adjust and grow in your confidence is so transferable from personal to business. Yeah.
And just in that sentence too, I think when I started, because I love teaching, like that's one of the things I enjoy the most. But when I first started teaching, it felt very monitored. Because there's APRA and we have to do the right thing. And I think we get caught up in like, yes, that is so important. And though APRA doesn't mean don't be yourself or deliver things in a way that are naturally the way that you would do it. And so, there's teaching and then there's the leadership of sharing your knowledge, right?
Yes.
And I think sometimes they're slightly different. Like you will know if you've been at school, there would be a teacher that was memorable for you. And maybe they made the class, like they brought some of themselves to the room.
Yeah, because your teacher can make or break your learning, right?
Right. And so I think that's just being mindful of this as you kind of expand too, that what's your flavor or what's your way of doing things?
And not to be afraid to, we've talked before, mashing the modalities or the trainings together to become that you develop your own language. I got my Ali language, you got your Skye language, and you
there's a lot of fuck language. No.
Well, that's how we know it's you, Skye. You drop a F-bomb every now and then.
Sorry, go.
But yeah, you're going to have your own language as well and your own unique way of expressing the things that you've learned.
Yeah.
And for me, I always come back to lived experience comes with that wisdom that is now yours. You own it. It's in your blood. And it is so okay to share from your own life and lived experience. And for me, that's where I feel like I can hit the flow state better when I'm talking about what I have integrated or what I have learned to, understand and follow through within myself.
And I think before we got on the podcast, Ali was talking in Ali voice. And I think that's the thing. Like, I fucking love that. Like, when you're in your flow because there's a certain way that your voice.
The tone.
Absolutely. And we were talking before about when Ali's like really fast paced and like that's a different experience for you. That's not you in your flow state when you're really heightened.
Yeah, that's often me. Like, I'm a very sensitive person. I'm very, I grew up my whole childhood and adolescence just matching the energy of the people around me because even though I might have known who I wasn't mature enough to have a grounded sense of self or to know what is my energetic vibration or signature like, what is my baseline. And so it took a lot of learning, personal learning around what's my energy and what's the other person's energy, and what's it like when I'm in a soup of energy in a room full of people.
Yeah.
And that again has been another parallel process that I can see has helped me in my business so much as well.
Yeah, because otherwise we get in comparison, right? Because my like animated, this is how I like am normally, right? Like I'm really like up here.
Yeah.
And so when I started getting online, I was like, oh, wait, like maybe that's wrong. Like maybe I'm meant to be a little bit more calmer, or I'm meant to be a bit more professional, or I'm meant to talk slower. I'm like all of this, I should, versus like, oh, hang on, just wait. Like, what is my natural way?
Yes. I'm allowed to be the Skye, the expressive, playful, energetic one who like is bubbly and vibrant and animated, you know? And to me, that is a very attractive energy. But to others, like, and to you,
It
even, like,
repels,
my
which is
energy is
perfect.
attractive too. Like,
Correct.
it's like you might be in the mood for some Skye energy, or you might be in the mood for some Ali energy. Like, all is okay. It's like a buffet of options out there. It's like
Yes.
we like eating carrots, you like eating oranges, you know? Yeah. So stepping out of those roles or those identities or those parts and moving more like away from professionalism and performance and having to show up in a particular way to, hey, I'm pretty wise, I'm pretty smart, I understand this stuff, and I can just talk from a more genuine, authentic, you know, regulated my energy space.
Because when you use those words too, right? Like professionalism, I think it's checking in, because I know you love being professional and I love being professional, and yet the way that we do it and our definition for that
is so different.
Literally. And so I think that's where we also can get caught up, is the meaning we attach to things. You know, and yes, there's societal ideas around things and they're important. We can pay attention to some of that, but then there's also a level of where that traps us. And so even just yourself, like write down, like, what is my idea of professionalism? What is my idea of what a psychologist or a counselor, therapist should look like? And just start checking in with yourself. Is that actually aligned with me, with my thoughts, my ideas, who I am?
Yeah, that's
and
right.
Start exploring.
Yes. Yes. Yeah, because we don't, like, I had a little bit of a massage yesterday in a session, and the lady was really good at reading energy, and she's talking to me about my solar plexus. And like, for any of you who know and understand, you know, more metaphysical or esoteric things, your solar plexus is just below your you know, your rib cage, but above your belly button. I'm touching it now, you know, for those of you watching on YouTube.
Yes.
But for the listeners, you know, it's a yellow chakra, and it's about our personal power. And if we're not really clear on, you know, what those things mean to us, or our values, or what's important to us, we can very quickly be pulled off in someone else's intention or belief or value. And then that disempowers us, or we're like, it's almost like we're self-abandoning our own truth, isn't it? And so being able to, you know, recognize when that's happening, like for me, learning about my chakras in my personal life is translatable in my professional life, because now I can kind of go, it's okay for me to hold this truth and stay in my belief around that and honor yours.
100%.
I don't need to match or agree with you just to have connection, or, you know, network with you, or collaborate.
Be connected with,
Yeah, that's a huge thing for me as a parallel process.
When you were talking then, what came up for me is the word boundaries. And how in my personal life, because have grown up very much, you know, had ADHD, anxious around that, become people pleaser, people need to like me because I'm too much, like all of that story had me very much have a lack of boundaries. And when I went into particularly my own business, I wasn't firstly aware of how much who Skye is and her lack of boundaries would then influence my business, and then my business's lack of boundaries, and not with necessarily clients. Like Skye psychologist clicked on there, but Skye businesswoman, professional, I was like, fuck, like I've set my own hours and now I've extended my own hours, or I've set my own fee but now I've waived my fee, or I've set a cancellation policy and now I've forgone that cancellation policy, and I wasn't paying attention to some of those things.
Yes, because we're all human too. Like, while we might talk about being, you know, staying in our genuine, authentic self, like I have a conscious, waking, occurring mind, like I'm in my human self, but I have a good understanding of my higher self, or my spiritual self, or my healthy adult self, if you want to talk in, you know, therapy language. I think understanding and doing the personal work really translates in being able to identify when we slip back into a mode, a role, a part, a pattern,
Mm-hmm.
and have a quicker recovery time, or being
Yeah.
able to identify, like you call it, bottleneck, Sky, or identify when I'm doing the same thing but with a different person.
Yes.
And now I can catch it in real time, and now I can make a new choice and create a new neural pathway in my mind or a new somatic response in my body.
Yeah.
And yeah, look at you
Yeah.
sighing just
It's
as
a
I'm
big
saying
thing.
that.
Because, something come up the other day where somebody questioned me on something, and it was like a nothing conversation, and I was able to answer back, and it was fine, and it was done. And I just had this like moment where I was like, oh my God, Sky, if this had happened in the past where another professional had questioned you, you would have gone straight to this identity of like, oh my God, I'm in trouble. I've done something wrong. I've disappointed. And I think it's so important when we can clock that, oh, my nervous system didn't do that then.
Yes.
How cool is that?
Celebrate it.
Right?
Yeah, well done.
And so I think for the listeners too, it's like, yes, notice when your conditioning is showing up, but also give yourself some fucking credit when you even just notice it, or when you notice that it's not as impacting on your nervous system. Because we're very quick to be like, this is where I fuck up.
Yes, we see our deficits so readily, don't we?
Absolutely.
And especially if we are busy or in a a stress state ourselves, or there's like one thing after the other, we don't take the time to self-acknowledge sometimes, or to
Absolutely.
celebrate those wins or
Yeah.
changes that are happening for us too.
Absolutely.
So let this be your reminder today to, make sure you cultivate space in your diary, weekly or monthly, whatever works best for you, to stock take like what is working, what's not working, what's feeling like it's shifting and changing internally, and how is that like reflecting in my outside world. I think that's a really healthy and beautiful practice we can be doing for ourselves.
And I'm quite visual, so sometimes what I'll do is I'll get a piece of paper, Ali, and I'll put like 3 columns, and I'll do like personal life, professional life, and then I'll be like, either like what's changing or what I want to change or what I'm noticing is improving.
Yeah.
So I can almost visually see the parallel, right? So it's like, I don't know, maybe better boundaries with my daughter. And then in business, I'm like, oh, wow, I'm doing more of that, cancellation policy and follow through, which is like, oh, wow, like I want to keep cementing those boundaries.
Beautiful.
And it just gives me a visual way of clocking how well I feel I'm doing, or what I also want to work on.
Yeah. So that's a beautiful, visceral, tangible, outside of yourself way to self-reflect, isn't it?
Yeah.
Whereas for me, a lot of that process is happening internal. Yeah. And so it might be that I make space in my day to meditate, or I might start in a rumination process in my mind, but it self-organizes, and the epiphanies drop in and the insight and revelations arrive, and I'm like, aha.
Ding ding, there it is.
Yeah. But I went through years of needing to journal it and put it outside of myself. And I think we exercise as muscles in different ways. I still go back to journaling when I need it. I still go back to meditating when I need it, or stretching and moving my body, and being able to recalibrate my own energies, like whatever's working for you.
I love it.
For your self-check-ins.
Yeah.
Something
else, and I'm curious what your thoughts are, that I notice happens for me when I grow and expand, is that there is a person who people in my personal life know me to be. And then I think through that we create a person that people in your professional life know you to be.
Yes.
And so then when you're like, I want to be someone different, or I want to do something different, or I want to grow, or I learned this really cool thing and now I'm going to share it. It's outside the box of what I normally do. I can almost feel the people or the energy around me being like, what the fuck? Like, that's not Skye.
We're so used to this version of you, and now you're showing us, new parts, or new confidence, or new visions, new ideas. It scares me, like it scares us on the outside, doesn't it?
Like, I think all of our nervous systems are so familiar with how the dynamics of relationships are. And so when we go to grow and somebody comes in and their nervous system is dysregulated because you're changing, I think what I used to do is be like, oh, this must be wrong.
Yeah.
And so I would retreat and just go back to what is familiar.
Mm.
And the way one of my peoples that I talk to shared this with me, she's like, "No, you're just learning a new dance, and they're tripping over you because they're in the old dance, and maybe you need to communicate with them that you're doing a new dance, and then it's their choice what they want to do with that."
Exactly.
And I was like, "Oh, that's pretty cool."
It is. Yeah, I talk about relational dances too. And if for you watching on YouTube, you can see my hands. But for the listeners, I've got all of the fingertips on both my hands touching one another. And like if we change how we show up, the other person either needs to change and match us, or the relationship will fall away, or like you might go back to the old pattern, but the more that you stay in that new choice,
Yeah.
the more they'll have to meet you there, won't they?
Yeah, I learned it's a bit like going to the gym, right? Or like Dirty Dancing people, if you like hold the frame, right? Like you've got to hold the
Ooh,
frame.
I like that.
Because if you don't,
This is my space, baby. This is your space.
literally, right? Because if you don't, then you fall back into whatever that was, which means that you don't get to, I don't know, grow, experience whatever it is that your journey's taking you on.
Yeah.
So if that's you, and you always make yourself wrong, or you worry about maybe leaving people behind,
That's when
disappointing.
Yeah, that's when I felt like when, especially in my intimate relationships, if I'm growing, if my personal growth like exceeds or expands beyond what the relationship can hold, or where he's at, where my partner's at,
Yeah.
I feel bad. Like I feel like I'm doing a disservice to them because they're not growing with me.
Yeah.
And it can hurt.
It
It can be scary, and we can
Absolutely.
retreat back to, well, I'll just meet them where they're at, and it's not that anyone's better than or worse
Not
than.
at
It's just
all.
an adjusting, isn't it?
100%.
Yeah. So don't let fear get in the way of your growth.
Fucking
is what
fear.
I'm hearing. Like all of what we're sharing about,
Yes.
isn't it? Don't let it stop you.
No, it's just information that something is different and uncomfortable.
Yeah.
Unless it's, like Dark Alley Stranger mode. Sorry, my brain goes ADHD. Then, like, listen to that. Fear is different to anxiety.
Yes. How do we differentiate?
It's important, though, right?
It is. It's necessary. Because I know, like, a lot of the times, fear will stop you dead in your tracks, because it's not nice to feel scared or afraid or worried about something.
Yeah. But then, because now we're going in analogy mode. Sorry, guys. Because we're on the property, right? Like, fear will stop us thinking it's a snake and it's a stick.
Yes.
Right? But here's the key, right? Once you learn it's just a fucking stick, keep moving forward. And I think that's where we get caught up, right?
Yeah,
we get caught up in like, yeah, but it could have been. And maybe next time. And so I should. And versus like it's okay.
Yeah. I'm just going to tune back into myself and see if there's anything else we want to share about this parallel
Love
process.
the tuning.
Right? Yeah.
You wrote this. This is cool.
Yeah, so let's come back to that. So Skye's just pointed to the word vision. And for me, like ever since I was a teenager, I've always felt I had a mission while I was here on Earth.
Love that.
Something that I like was only I can accomplish this mission.
Yeah.
And I'm a full believer that we all have a purpose or a mission or a vision that we're here to bring to humanity. And what for me, like it's not been one specific thing that I have to do, and it's always been that one thing. I feel our purpose or our vision or our mission morphs and changes with this parallel process. So when I've been a family support worker in community services sector, I've been on purpose and in my mission and learning and acquiring the skills or the connections and the networks that I needed. And for the next step, when I look back, like hindsight can show me how every little experience, job, relationship, personal growth, all of those things have been necessary to get me to who I am and where I am and how I am today.
Yeah.
And I when Reiki came into my life, it felt like a big bow or ribbon around a lot of things, because for a long time there was this physical Ali, and I grew up in the Christian church and I had understanding of God, but I didn't have a way to make spirituality my own. What's my relationship to divine?
Yes, love that.
So Reiki really gave me that piece too, and helped me integrate physical with spiritual self. And so I still, like, even now sitting here, Spirit keeps calling me to do the next thing. to continue expanding and growing and healing, whatever that is to you.
Yeah.
And to continue to birth or create, like to create and bring into the world the next purpose, the next vision, the next mission.
I love that.
And so my whole, like, ever since I started my business, especially, I can see so clearly how when I grow, my business grows.
Yeah.
When I, tap into more of who I am and my next becoming, I have a new offering for people. And the scary one, the biggest one for me right now is, yes, I've been an amazing therapist in a psychology practice, but there's this spiritual person in me who has so much wisdom from her lived experience that just wants to be teaching and showing and leading the way with embodiment, with tuning in and aligning your energies,
Yes.
So
we love you.
Just speak that, because I'm sure a lot of you listeners out there love to hear and know and talk about those things too. We're not having enough of those conversations in the world, I don't think. So let's have them here too.
Literally.
That's what the whole podcast is about,
Yes.
having those conversations and talking in the ways in which our professional or therapist mode sometimes doesn't allow.
No.
Yeah.
I love it.
Talk to me with yourself, what's been your journey from, like, because I know, Skye, you love to create and it's new shiny thing with your ADHD and like you are the wind beneath people's wings. So you are a force of inspiration for others, you inspire and encourage and uplift the people just by being you. Like, is there anything you want to really share for the listeners today to encourage them, to give them permission to have the vision, to hold that vision and to grow alongside that vision?
Wisdom. It's on the spot.
Yes.
Well, I think the biggest thing is just listen to yourself, because I know for me, when I went and looked at what's my vision or passion or purpose, and then I get met with business coaches, and this is not right, wrong, and there's a place for everything, but when the first thing back to me is what's your niche, and then I got really stuck in I've got to find this one little tiny thing that I work with, and that got really stuck at the beginning when I was so uncertain of myself. And now that question is a lot more helpful and a lot more easy. But at the beginning, I think sometimes we ask ourselves the wrong questions.
I love that.
And so I just think it's more about who do I want to become, and what do I want to share with the world, and who do I want in my spaces versus who's the person I'm going to give to. And because that will naturally come about.
Yes, it will.
So just reverse engineering, because mine's always been I was the child who was and not necessarily from other people around me, but just felt within me I'm too much. I need to keep my mouth closed. People are annoyed by me. People get upset by me. I just overwhelm people. And so shut down for a very long time. And then I think my whole purpose, and still is, I think, is be your fucking self. Put yourself out in the world. Yes, be respectful, but also just be you and do it your way and learn to trust in that. And I just think for me, the way I've gone about doing that is different. Each time I grow, it's it gets delivered differently.
Beautiful.
Does that make sense?
Yes, it becomes clearer. Your essence or your offering is becoming more of you.
So it's I gotta do the work so I can teach people to do the work.
Yes. Yes.
that one. That one.
And this is the whole, you can talk a talk, but are you walking your walk?
Yeah.
And when we integrate our personal growth ourselves, we are the living embodiment or a transmission of who we have become.
Yes.
And then quite naturally, by osmosis, just being around someone, they're getting the gift of you that they might need from that, and they'll take what's there for them and they'll leave what's not.
Correct.
Yeah. So one of my parting messages for listeners today might be to tune in and really listen inwardly to yourself.
Yeah.
To stay in your passion and your joy and in what feels aligned for you. Because if we can trust our capacity to grow as individuals and, have our own unique personal lived experiences, that will help us grow and expand our business and our vision as well. It is just a natural byproduct.
Yeah. The more you pay attention to you and your needs and how you're showing up in the world and your experience, the more that will support you to grow whatever professional career it is that you want.
Exactly. And then you're able to create and connect without losing yourself in the process, or abandoning or wishy-washying yourself, or sounding like you're just regurgitating someone else.
Nailed it. So basically be your fucking self.
Yes.
And if you don't know who that is, that's okay. You can figure it out.
Yes. And if you need help to figure that out, look in the comment underneath this podcast. You'll find a reflection guide
Yes.
that can give you a bit of a, stop, pause, and tune in and some questions to really
Yeah.
consider
Way
what
to ponder.
all we've talked about today.
Sounds good.
Don't forget to rate and review. That's how we get our podcast in front of more listeners. So if you've really received something that landed for you today in our talk, or share it with a friend, leave a comment, rate and review. That's really going to help get our voices out into the world and in front of the people who need to hear it.
Stay tuned for the next episode.